We fixed all the rust in the Valiant, so now it's time to finish off the suspension and brakes. So, after our major detour to the land of rust repair and all that fun stuff, we have fixed the chassis rail, we have repaired those front sill panels, we've got the guards back on, so it's time to finish off the brakes, get the suspension fixed, so we can basically get it down on its wheels again and get it ready for an engine transplant. So obviously the big news is that we are not going to make it to Mopar Sunday. Yeah, they closed the borders on us last night. That means if we were to travel across New South Wales into Queensland, we would have to spend 14 days quarantining when we got back. So yeah, no one wants to do that. And there really is no way of going, well, there is a way to go up through South Australia and across. You'd have to go South Australia, Northern Territory, across into, you know, central Queensland and then back down. And well, that's a massive journey. And as much as I would love a road trip, I don't think my wife would be a fan of me spending 3 weeks away road tripping around Australia. Although that would be fun. Anyway, we've got some work to do. We need to do it. We have some nice new shocks here from the guys from Australian Automotive Parts. They've sent us a full set of shocks and they've even made up little Carnage stickers for them as well. So we'll get some fresh shocks into the front and back of this thing. We'll get our brake discs back on, and then we've got to rebuild some calipers. We've got a brand new master cylinder as well. So lots to do. Let's hook in. Let's get it done. So according to my paperwork, the Ute got new shocks probably 10 to 15 years ago. Obviously it hasn't done a lot of Ks in that time, but let's whack some new shocks in there. I'm going to keep the original bushes up here because they're in good condition, and to be honest, I just don't want to pull them out. So slide this on up. Up she goes. Whoops. Oh, there goes the insert. Oh, take that out in a sec. All right. New bolt. Grab the other side. Get up there. One for you. One for you. Legitimate use of a shifter, number 21. All right, lift it back up, bottom bolts, and then we're done. Okay, get the new ones on there. It won't take long at all. You may have noticed I pulled the diff cover off. That's because I wanted to check out what ratio we had. The car's always been fairly cruisy on the freeway, so I felt like someone had changed the gears out for 292 gears. But no, it's got the original 323s. So we'll stick with that. It's just open center at the moment. Nothing fancy. Yes, it's going to get a lot of wheel spin, so be it. I just don't have the budget to do any fancy sort of LSD diffs at the moment, so that is something we can tackle at a later date. Before we throw our tight new shocks in there, I'm going to just grease up the spigots with some red rubber grease. All right, so don't use normal grease near suspension bushes, it will ruin them. Use the red stuff. Smear a bit on. Work the shaft. Okay, there we have it. 4 brand new shocks, Ultima shocks from the guys at Australian Automotive Parts. Thanks guys. They have actually sent a set for the Volvo as well. So we'll be putting those in the Trovo very soon. And they're sending a set for the Superman too. So thanks a lot guys. Anyway, shocks are done. I need to get the back plate back on this diff. I probably should do that now. And then we'll do those disc brakes. One paper gasket. All right, let's whack some oil in it. Right, here we go. Valvoline, the good stuff. There we go. Oops. Diff oil, done. It's probably the first time it's had a diff oil change in 50 years. Now it is time to do some wheel bearings. I've shown this a few times, but it's always good to show it again for those who haven't seen the earlier videos. Just whack a big wad of wheel bearing grease on your palm there. I know that sounds a bit sus. So obviously we're using the good stuff, Valvoline. Now, basically you work from underneath the bearing and you just work it on your palm and you're pushing the grease up from underneath. You see it starting to bubble up through the top and you rotate and keep going until you've got it all the way around. And basically what it is, you're using your palm as a barrier. The grease can't go anywhere except up. See, it's pushing up through. And just make sure that you end up with grease all the way through your bearing. Some say, or might say, why not wear gloves for this? I don't think it really matters. Grease is pretty harmless stuff. So what we'll do is, this is the right hand side, I'm going to flip this over. I'll wipe that grease off the disc in a little bit. Get the big bearing, goes in the back, right there. And then we'll get one of these seals out and we'll push the seal in. Just let me clean that off. I'll spray that with some brake cleaner before it goes on, but we'll get our seal driver kit, we'll smack that into place, we'll be done. Doesn't really matter what size you use, you're just basically driving it in until it's flat. It's not quite there. That's basically it. Okay. Disc on, bearing in, retaining plate, nut, and there's a locking bit for the nut. So you'll do the nut up, put the locking bit on, and then split pin. All right, so legitimate shifter use number 22. All right, just tightening up the wheel bearings. Obviously you don't want to lock them up super tight. You need to be able to rotate your hub. There we go. Cool. So just after you're done, give it a spray with brake cleaner just to get your greasy handprints and stuff off there. And that way you won't have grease in your brake shoes either. You really don't want that. Beauty. And now we're up to rebuilding our brake calipers. Now they're pretty old and crusty looking like that, so we're going to refresh them with new seals and everything. I've already split this one apart. As you can see, it's held together by 4 large bolts, and then it uses a little seal like that in the center for the crossover passage between the 2 halves of the caliper. I've already pushed the piston out of this side with compressed air. So that's our piston. Yeah, I'm undecided on whether to reuse it or not. It's not too bad, but I've only got 2 brand new pistons, so I've got to work out which ones are the best and which ones, you know, need replacing. So I'll clean it up the best I can with some brake cleaner. Pretty obvious. We'll see, we'll pick the 2 best, reuse the 2 best, and then use the 2 new pistons for the replacement of the other 2. It's not actually terrible. It actually cleans up not too bad. A little bit of varnish, but we'll get that away. All right, so this side, we'll just push out that piston gently with some compressed air, or as gently as we can. All right. Looks like it's seized in there a bit. So they've got a clip that just retains the seal. That's the clip there. There's our seal. Yeah, and it looks like the caliper is a little bit seized in there, which is a bit of a bummer. Looks like I'll be replacing this side. See if we can get some pliers onto it. No, she's well and truly in there. Well, this is going to be fun, isn't it? There we go. Pop! Wow, that came out with a bit of force, didn't it? Sometimes it's best to wear safety glasses when you're doing this stuff. But yeah, pistons probably seen better days. I'll give it a bit of a scrub. We'll see if it'll come up clean or not. But yeah, might be replacing that one, I think. Ugh, she's a bit, hey, going in there, isn't it? So obviously we're going to give it new brake lines and everything like that. So new brake lines, new seals, couple new cups. So I'm just going to soak the pistons in some brake cleaner there for a little bit, see if we can get them spotless. If we can't, well, we've got those brand new ones in the packet, but they don't look too dirty to me, so I think we'll be able to save them. We'll see. So now it is time for assembly. I've already tipped some brake fluid in either side of the caliper. I've cleaned up the pistons. They've come up pretty good after a bit of a soak in some brake cleaner and a little bit of light work with a Scotch-Brite pad, just get the varnish away from them. So I think they are pretty right to go. So we'll grab our seals. So there's inner seals, there's outer seals. There's clips. So grab one of our inner seals. All right. So let's just run it through the brake fluid. There's enough there. And we'll just pop it in the side. And then we'll just slide that in. Try not to squirt myself in the face. Whoops. Okay. Alright, that seems to have gone all the way in. And the side. So now that we've got our seals and pistons in, we're going to reassemble the caliper. Got to make sure that the little crossover passage seal goes in there. And then gently bring them together. Okay. All right, so new seals, pistons back in. That should be ready to test. I should whack some pads in there. See how it goes. Okay, seem to move. Let's see if the other side moves. Yep, all right, we've got movement on both sides. Seems to move both sides. I reckon that's job done. We'll move on to the other one. Okay. Oh, pads out. Pop these pistons. There's one. Oh, what a mess. Oh, there's another. God, it's gone all the way across. Fuck you. Wow. So I let these pistons sit in the brake cleaner for a little bit, and I've given them a bit of a clean up and discovered they are both pitted. So given the pitting, they're for the bin. What we'll do is replace them with these brand new ones, which are still available but just kind of hard to get. So the first set cleaned up really good, no pitting. These ones not so much, so got to replace them. I dare say this is not the recommended method, but it works. These are more of a dust cover than a seal, but yeah, keeps the rabbits out. Okay, that works pretty well, I think. Alrighty, so we will throw new pads in those, get them on the car, get our new brake lines on, then move on to our master cylinder, which is sitting over there on the bench. Right, well, we've got brand new brake pads in there, so time to get the calipers on. Obviously, bleed nipple goes to the top, so the air's got somewhere to go when you bleed them. Right. There. Now it's time for our master cylinder. So we've got a fully reconditioned unit here from the boys at Valiant Spares. Now it's been bench bled. It's got some block off ports there. The area where it bolts to had a bit of surface rust down here, so I gave it a bit of a scarf, hit it with some rust converter, and then gave it a coat of paint. But now it is time to bolt it on. It's got a nice new seal on it. Should just go there. Now for the fun part, connecting the lines. Now because the master cylinder has been bench bled, we need to undo these little block off ports and get this on without spilling fluid all down the guards. So we'll just put a rag under there, quickly get our line up. Okay, I think we've got that one. Okay, you and you, and you, done. So last job is fitting some brand new rubber lines going to the calipers. Grab our bolt, grab our retaining clip, we'll make it happen. All right, so this one just goes straight in the back of the caliper. Then up here. All right, so brake line done. Just got to tighten the back of the caliper. We'll get the line on the other side, but that is brakes pretty much sealed up, ready to go. Now we've just got to bleed them. We're going to fit a offset remote booster as well, just to give it a little bit more oomph. But that won't be this episode. But we're right at that point where we can put wheels back on it, get it back down on the ground, and start looking at that engine stuff. I know you've all been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. I want to get that 318 together, get it into this beast, and we can go out, do some racing, do some cruising, just enjoy Dad Ute. Really looking forward to that. So like, subscribe, all that crazy stuff, and we'll see you on a future episode of Carnage.